Hello again, and welcome, folks, back to Polysaturated. This is episode 27. I am Crow, and I am here with
Zan
and
Jay,
and we are really glad you're here with us. Today's episode is going to be about
fear.
The
fear of having 27 partners, Crow.
I got nothing.
I didn't think you would.
No.
I didn't think you would.
So, what do we think?
you're the only one with another partner right now, so
Right.
you don't have a whole lot of room to talk.
We have an announcement, folks, before we get into this episode.
Yeah.
We do?
Yes.
We do.
We do.
Yeah, we have an announcement, don't we, Zan? Anyway.
He's got a girlfriend now,
Yes.
and it's hard to... But,
So, I currently have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was unexpected.
For you.
Yeah.
It
We
was-
knew.
The rest of us, folks, just so you know, this was like one of those classic stories where a young kid is ready to come out to his parents, so he takes them out for breakfast, and they're ready to order, and he says to them, "Mom, Dad, I'm gay," and the parents just look at him and go, "Yeah, we know. Can you pass this syrup?" But it was like that. But it was like that in that he announced this, and we were like, yeah.
We've
Yeah.
been telling you that. Yeah.
They had been
So-
texting back and forth, and we had been calling her his girlfriend for how long?
A while.
They were making jokes about it for a bit. She was a really good friend of mine that actually I had mentioned her on the podcast before about going on a date back when we lived in Texas and how things just didn't work out. Well, we got back in touch and started talking on a regular, and well, it kind of just led up to it. And a couple months ago, I mentioned to Jay and Crow about how I was having a serious crush on her. And at the time, it wasn't, we had so much stuff going on that it just wasn't the right time. And sometimes that happens. And so, yeah, now we're dating now.
Hooray!
Yay, I'm so happy.
And she's pretty wonderful.
She
Yes,
is
she
pretty
is.
awesome.
Yep.
But this
On the
episode,
mic, what are we going to be calling her?
Scarlett.
Scarlett?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So this episode, we are talking about fear. And
I'm afraid I can't hear you.
are you afraid you can't see either?
Zan is flipping Crow off for those that aren't in the closet with us.
He is flipping the bird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that. So, fear. Okay, so fear is kind of a very broad subject when it comes to polyamory, because there could be fear of commitment, fear of losing your partner, which is like the biggest one, I think, in polyamory. It comes down to when your partner starts dating somebody else, or you bring somebody else in. Well, why are they looking outside of, me? Why do they want somebody else other than me?
That's the very essence of like coming into the polyamory mindset, is that initial societal buildup that you take it as a rejection, and it immediately triggers fears and feelings of scarcity. Just even coming into that and saying, well, why aren't I enough for them?
Yeah, and it's not about not being enough for somebody. It's about, shit, I completely blanked out.
I don't know. Weren't you listening either?
It's not about being enough for somebody.
Right.
It's about having enough love to go around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you for saving us.
You're welcome. I'm used to it.
Yes, you
So
probably
are
are.
we. So are we. So many other fears that you can have in polyamory. Fear of being alone. And is it possible in polyamory to be alone? Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
For those of us with anxiety, we know how it is to be alone in a crowded room.
Yeah.
And you can be in a polycule, and you can be the center of attention in a polycule and still feel desperately alone. And you can feel lonely.
Pretty much what it comes down to is it's okay to feel the fear
Mm-hmm.
and don't let the fear take over you.
It's really a lot in relationship fears. It's a lot like jealousy. It happens. A lot of us, it's said that the human brain it's in 3 stages. You have what a lot of people refer to as your lizard brain, your kind of stem.
What kind of lizard?
I don't know.
It's like
which
Komodo
one.
dragon?
Probably
Is it
something
like a little green lizard?
He
a-
was on a point.
It's a oh my fuckosaurus right now.
That was a good one.
So, and then you have your tribal brain, the next one up, and then you have your cerebellum, which is actually you, which is what you consider you and all of your you stuff in there. So a lot of times your first reaction isn't even really you. Your first reaction comes from all of these additions that had to be added onto your house, and you have to start with the first one. So a lot of times we have that first initial kind of, hey, I can't lose this. And then we're like, oh, well, okay, but they're still staying in. It's not really a loss if I consider it. And then the next thought is actually you. Because it goes through that scarcity that I have to eat everything I see or I won't get enough, that to tribal as in, I think I can share, and then the next thought is you. So when you are having an argument with your coworker and your first thought is to stab them in the neck with a pencil, don't feel guilty about that. That is not really you. That was just your first initial reaction, and you're going to be okay.
See,
and you're still a good person.
My first initial reaction is not to stab them in the neck with a pencil, is to throat punch them. Now, if they're not being a complete idiot, just being dumb, I just want to forehead punch them because that would just be hilarious. It's just like just a donk
Bonk,
type of thing.
yes.
It's just like, dude, wake the fuck up. You
Just
know?
a quick tonk on the head to maybe jog the juices in the brain back up. Yeah,
Exactly.
kinda
Because I don't trust them because they also don't drink coffee.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of our listeners probably don't
Don't.
drink coffee, and we love you. We just don't understand you.
I'm sorry. I am scared of you.
I saw
just-
a sign this weekend that said coffee is my love language, and I thought that was amazing.
It is
I
a
took a
perfect fit.
picture of it.
Yeah, it's not that I have anything against non-coffee drinkers. It's just that people who choose that lifestyle are choosing to go against nature, and I don't understand where they're coming. Sorry. Sorry, some of us have heard that speech a little too many times.
Yeah. Back on the subject of fear. When
I'm afraid not.
Okay, then we're done. That's it. All right. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Now, 3 types of fear. There's the 3 acronyms that I've heard for fear. There's false evidence appearing real. So most fears are based in illusion. They're a thing that you are afraid might happen, even though you have maybe overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
Okay.
And then there's face everything and rise, as in you don't have confidence in yourself or in your own worth or your own abilities. And then to combat the fear is to remember your own strength, your own worth, your own abilities, and face everything and rise. And then there's the next one, which is fuck everything and run.
All right. What about if
Wow.
you light a match and throw it behind you, then run? Wait, that's not fear. That's just the fuck it.
I'm not sure what the match will do unless there are explosive materials behind you as well.
Wait, you don't always have explosive material behind you?
Only when I have my theme song just off camera.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is it the band or is it just somebody playing it like on an 8-track?
What are 8-track?
You're older than me.
I almost pulled that off with a straight face.
No.
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 No,
I
you didn't.
remember 8-track.
You know what? Let's talk about our fears when we first got into polyamory. When Jay and I first ventured into poly, my biggest fear was her finding somebody else that was better than me. And I have to admit, at the time, it probably wasn't that difficult. I was not the same person I am today.
So,
Whatever.
are you trying?
I was chasing after you.
You're
so
you're
No, I thought
literally
when-
going to sit there.
No.
and because I knew you for 2 years ago,
Right, but
and
no,
you're
what
going to try to convince this audience that you were setting the bar real low at the time.
No, like when we first got into polyamory, my fear was losing you. Okay,
I
and
think that's fairly common for people who are
Yeah.
first.
right, but at the same time, I had extremely low self-esteem. That's the point I'm trying to make.
And that's where it's rooted,
Right.
typically.
Yeah, and the fact that I was not the best person at the time, I had a lot of issues that I wasn't dealing with.
What does he mean at the time?
What it means is at the time, I had not gotten help that I have now. I had not made the progress that I have now. The biggest fear I had was her, whether it be male or female, it didn't matter to me, but it was the fear of losing her. And at the same time, I think she had the same fear
Oh, yeah.
and had a fear of messing up our relationship. Like, this is going to fuck things up.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go right, if this isn't it, then fuck. And you know what? It scared us away. Our first poly relationship scared us away from poly because it went to shit quick.
Yeah.
And it was, we spoke about it before, how it was an agreement we had, and the agreement didn't hold up on my end,
As agreements often do.
right? But that's the thing. But you know what? We made it through.
Yep.
Here we are about 18 years later. And
Look at you now.
yeah, And we didn't do poly for a couple of years after that first one, but we ended up having some friends come into our lives that were more than friends.
Yeah.
I think that actually kind of warmed us slowly into the poly lifestyle, to where we knew that we can be in a situation with the right people and still be okay.
Well, and not only that, we could survive. Our relationship was strong enough, and our love for each other was strong enough that we could survive even if things did go wrong.
Right.
Or things didn't go the way we planned, or one person wasn't able to uphold something. There were a lot. You test the waters, and that's the whole thing with love in general, and not just love, not love per se, but being with people, even friends, even significant others or whatever. If you're gonna have longevity in your lives, you have to be willing to meld and change and grow with each other and support each other through the growth. And even if you do have to make significant changes, like where you've worked together with this person in your life and decide that you're no longer sharing the same goals for a life path, be it friend or spouse or significant other, that doesn't indicate a lack of strength. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to decide and get over the fear of what your life looks like without this person in it, and just know that you can continue on and be strong enough. So, I mean, we were pretty well perfectly matched from the get-go, and we've done that. We've all supported and been there for each other, and that's just how you make it work. I mean, you can quell your fears in those ways by just knowing that what you have is strong enough. And sometimes that changes too.
Yeah.
And where that the partner you're with, whatever y'all are going through, may not be strong enough. And again, that is something that you have to be okay with.
Yeah.
Because we've seen several poly relationships break up, not just, metamors or anything like that, but I'm talking like I hate to use the word primary, but a primary relationship break up. And that happens. But the thing is that through polyamory, I think I know I discovered who I am and who my needs and my wants, and voicing those. So the fear, for the most part, went away, but I still get scared. I still occasionally get scared. I get worried about, what if this, what if that, anxiety and fear and all that stuff is still a part of it. However, I know in our polycule that we are strong. That Jay is not going to leave me, that Crow is here for me, and I'm here for them.
Yeah.
And that's how my fear subsides. That's one reason why communication is so important.
Take a sip.
Yeah, it's always important. Even, talking about, me dating Scarlett, I was scared to tell them, because I knew we had just came out of a bad situation. We had just finalized the divorce. There was so much shit going on. There was just all kinds of crazy. We had just bought a house. We had all kinds of stuff. And we sat down and we had a discussion like, hey, look, I was scared to tell it, but I had to. And of course, me being completely oblivious, they saw it before I did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
we were afraid even then.
Yeah.
Because it was like, is he honestly going to take a step forward when we're in this situation? And it was, selfish thoughts, but with everything going on, it's one of those things like, sometimes you're not in a headspace. No. And fear creeps in because that's the headspace you're in.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of times especially my heart goes out to those people in polycules. They're having, one of their polycule is finding someone, and the last experience was bad. It's one of those things where the people who are in the polycule who remember the last experience, or maybe people are hurting in different intervals and they hurt at different times, and when you open your polycule, you're opening up everything. There's no secrets eventually.
No.
Because they've got to tell this person all of the things, and there's got to be lots of communication, and there's lots of back and forth. And unless you have a polycule